We roll. We're into the night. It is a Throwback Thursday. It's Tony Bruno and the whole gang here, and joining us right now. You talk about remarkable life stories. I mean, I think I've had a pretty remarkable life. My career has been pretty good, but nothing like this guy. He joins us on the MasterCard Celebrity Hotline. He is Bob Delaney. You probably know him as an official in the NBA, but he's not just an official in the NBA. He's a guy who's had an unbelievable life story, and he joins us here into the night. Bob, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Now, of course, I want to point out that your original, before you were an NBA referee, you worked undercover back in the mid-'70s to try to bring down crime families like the Genovese and the Bruno crime family in South Philly, and I was not implicated or not involved with the Angelo Bruno crime family, or I wouldn't be working 40 years in this business.
And that's a true statement. I never met you out on the street, that's for sure. But true, I was a state trooper in Jersey, and I joined that organization in 1973, and I was tapped to do an undercover job in 1975, and they told me it was going to be 6 months. I guess we had an aggressive attitude. We were going to end organized crime in 6 months in the state of New Jersey, but we realized real quick that wasn't going to happen, and it went on for 3 years. So I became another person. I became Bobby Covert, catchy name for an undercover guy, but I took on the identity of a child that died at birth, and we created a whole new persona. And I became that person, like I said, for 3 years. What I thought was going to be the greatest day of my life was when that job ended, because I would come back and be full circle and back into my real life. And then I realized that was probably the worst day of my life, because I was good at doing undercover work. We're all good at doing something. I'd meet with the wise guys, like I was saying to you before. I met with Angelo Bruno at Bookbinders in Philly, and different mob guys around through the informant that worked with us, Pat Kelly, who was a consigliere with the DiNorgio crew, the Bruno crime family. And I was good at that, and I'd wear a wire, but I'd get 2 miles down the street and have to pull over and throw my guts up, or find the first gas station I could find because I had diarrhea. Now, I wouldn't tell anybody back then that was going on, because I didn't want to look like I was afraid. Cops like to think of themselves as being able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and people in uniform are like that. I've been doing this kind of work that I've been doing for the last 25 years, talking to cops and firefighters and soldiers about understanding what this emotional roller coaster ride is, and and talking to them about what I went through, post-traumatic stress.
And of course, and since then, when you got out of the undercover covert operations name as Bobby Covert, then you went on and became an NBA official, right? How did you make that transition?
It was actually therapy for me, because I got lucky. A guy by the name of Hank Campbell was a doctor in psychology who was doing work for Jersey City Police Department, and he happened to had been my college professor. And I started doing informal therapy with him after I surfaced. Post-traumatic stress disorder wasn't a clinical diagnosis back then. That didn't come until 1981. But he was the first person that said, you're going through post-traumatic stress disorder. And I went into denial. I said, that's what guys coming back from Nam are going through. That's not me. And then Louis Free, who was became the 15th director of the FBI, was a street agent. And he put me together with a guy by the name of Joe Pistone. Joe Pistone is the real Donnie Brasco. And once I spoke with Joe, I understood peer-to-peer therapy. And that, once you speak to someone that understands what you're going through, that opens doors. And that was the first line of defense for me in post-traumatic stress. But basketball gave me an inner peace, because I played ball in high school and college, and nothing better than a Friday night in a high school gym. So I couldn't play anymore, so I started refereeing. One thing led to another. Darryl Garrettson saw me working at Jersey Shore Summer Pro League game and invited me to work in the Continental Basketball Association, and then I got hired up. So for me, it was what gave me an inner peace in combating post-traumatic stress, but it opened the door for another career.
Talking with Bob Delaney, NBA official. He's got a book out called Surviving the Shadows, A Journey of Hope into Post-Traumatic Stress. And, when you think about the NBA, you got superstar players. They're putting you in a stressful position. They're always complaining, looking for fouls. So how do you handle this stress if you're in the NBA, where it's a stressful environment every night, especially for an official who's hated in every building he goes into?
Yeah, I never looked at that as the stressful. I looked at it as a relief. The National Institute of Mental Health describes the post-traumatic stress disorder as an anxiety disorder that can develop after exposure to a terrifying event or ordeal in which grave physical harm occurred or was threatened. So this is a human condition. While I work with the soldiers and cops and firefighters, emergency service folks, this is not just a problem that happens in those kinds of settings. It's just that they're at the higher risk group. I've been over to Iraq on numerous occasions, over to Landstuhl, in the medical facilities in Germany, where our wounded warriors are taken on and off the battlefield. What I stress to folks is that not all wounds bleed, and there are invisible wounds. And the men and women who are serving us, the men and women who serve us as law enforcement firefighters, need to be given an education and awareness, as we all are, about what this thing, post-traumatic stress, is.
Bob Delaney joining us, talking about his battles with post-traumatic stress and his remarkable career as an undercover agent who helped bring down crime families. And now he's not able to bring down the NBA because the NBA has been brought down by the commissioner with the lockout. Do you think this thing, you think you're not going to be working this year, Bob?
Well, I'm not going to be working anyway. I retired at the end of this past season. So,
okay.
After my 25 years with the league, at the beginning of last season, I told them that would be my last. One of the reasons is because of the work that I'm doing. Every job has a shelf time, and it had a heck of a run, a great career, and it was great to be part of it. I too hope that the lockout gets taken care of quicker, sooner than later, Tony, because it's a great game. There's a lot of good people that are involved, and it's not only the guys on the court. It's the ushers that I've gotten to meet, the security people, the guys out in the parking lot, all the folks that work at the arenas. That I hope it gets resolved soon. One of the things that I am doing while retired is going around speaking to troops and all. But on one of the chapters in the book is called 21st Century Therapies, and one of the therapies I'm going to partake in on September 11th, I'm going on a bicycle ride from Ground Zero to Shanksville to the Pentagon with 250 wounded warriors. We're going to go 580 miles, and it's part of therapy, but to be around those men and women is going to be an inspiring, rewarding week, I'm sure.
Bob Delaney, an amazing story, and the book is out. It's called Surviving the Shadows, A Journey of Hope into Post-Traumatic Stress. Co-authored by the national award-winning journalist Dave Schreiber, and it's out, coming out September 6th, right?
Yeah, it'll be out the 6th. It's Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com have it available now, and there's a Surviving the Shadows Facebook page that folks can go to as well.
Beautiful. Last thing about the NBA, you said you're retired. Did you know the lockout was coming, or was it just happened to be the end of your career because of 25 years?
No, I let the league know in September of 2010. I made the decision. I actually made the decision before that, but that's when I notified the league. So before the season even started last year, I had made a decision that was going to be my last season, and it was a good way to go. To be able to say goodbye to folks along the way and have my last season. So it's been a heck of a run.
Bob, the last thing, and so you don't think you'll miss it? I mean, certainly there doesn't seem to be a lot of sentiment out there that this lockout's going to end and there will be an NBA season anyway. Do you feel the same way? Do you think this thing's going to go on for a while and we'll miss an entire season perhaps?
That would surprise me. To miss an entire season would be surprising to me. My hope is that it gets solved. But, am I going to miss it? I'm sure I'm going to. I've been around basketball since I was 11 years old. I'm 59 years old now, and every season it comes. So I know that when the season comes and the games start again, I'll miss it. But I also know that the work that I'm doing now, I've been fortunate. I've been around world champion athletes. Now I'm working around world champions in the game of life and working with the soldiers and the firefighters and the cops.
Well, Bob, it's good to talk to you. So many Philly guys to not only become great basketball players, but a lot of NBA officials from the Philadelphia area. It's amazing.
Oh, a lot of great ones. Joey Crawford and Steve Javie and, Mark Wondlick, Duke Callahan. Eddie Malloy's a young guy coming up. So, yeah, there are a lot of great officials. And the reason being is they had great basketball to referee.
Exactly. Hey, Bob, so thanks so much for joining us. It's great to talk to you, and good luck with the book. It comes out next week, September 6th. It's called Surviving the Shadows, A Journey of Hope into Post-Traumatic Stress, a remarkable story about a remarkable guy with a great life that continues on past basketball and past being a mob informant. Hey, Bob, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Appreciate it.
Stay safe, Tony.
Bob Delaney, what a story, huh?